As a young child growing up in Africa, you're told proverbs to help you navigate through life's challenges. Some of the proverbs are thought-provoking, some are comical, and some are romantic. Welcome to Wisdom of Africa, your weekly wisdom dosage. I am Karen. This video today is going to talk about proverbs from Ghana. You heard me right, I said Ghana. I'm not very good with my Ghanaian, but I know how to say Etise. Hello Ghana. Okay, so the first proverb we're going to talk about today says, nobody knows the beginnings of a great man. Please take a moment and think about what I just said. It says, nobody knows the beginning of a great man. I will use an example that is so fitting for this particular proverb. I'll talk about the late Kwame Nkrumah, who was Ghana's president. Kwame Nkrumah was brought up in a village. He was brought up by a single mom, but he ended up being the president of Ghana. The key here is that nobody knew that from his beginnings would be a great man. So what that means and what it's teaching us is that greatness is unpredictable. You just never know how anybody starts and what they'll end up to be in the future. So if somebody's struggling, sometimes just give them the support. However, don't judge them just because of what they are at the beginning, because you just never know what the ending is going to be. This brings us to proverb number 2. Proverb number 2 says, all fingers are not the same. Okay, just take a moment and think about what I just said. All fingers are not the same. Some are big, some are short, some are fat, some are tall. Equally, it's the same thing with humans. Some people are weak, some people are strong, some people aren't as capable as the others, but everybody is capable of doing something that the other person can't. So what does this tell us? For example, you hold a pen using your thumb and your index finger and not necessarily using your pinky finger. But then again, you can't, for example, hold maybe a stick or a broom without using every finger, which means that the pinky finger comes into force. So what that means is, despite our differences, despite our shortness, fatness, incapability, whatever it is, we all have a purpose and we all have value. Proverb number 3. Proverb number 3 says, if someone does not know, someone teaches. Just take a moment and think about what I've just said. If someone doesn't know, someone teaches. There is no shame in not knowing. Sharing knowledge helps us to improve our society. Otherwise, failure to do so creates a backward, ignorant society. For example, I personally love traveling. I noticed that when I traveled to Italy, for example, I wasn't very conversant with using their trains. And I kept asking for directions and nobody was willing to help me. But what ended up happening to me is that I actually sat at a platform for almost 1.5 hours not knowing what to do. The thing with that is that experience taught me that anytime anybody from, I'm going to say Africa because I'm African, I relate to my African brethren. Anytime I see somebody struggling, for example, if I'm traveling or on a train or going anywhere, what I tend to do is I will offer my services or my help even without being asked. Because I don't want anybody to end up in the same situation that I found myself in whilst I was in Italy. So my African comrades, remember, if somebody doesn't know, someone teaches. Let's not have an ignorant society. Let us have a society that shares knowledge and empowers itself. If your neighbor's beard is burning, fetch water for yours. My neighbor, the beard is burning. Fetch water for yours. That's not literally meaning that your neighbor's beard is burning, so instead of helping them out, you're running to go and fetch water for yours. No. Remember what we're saying here. These are proverbs. They're thought-provoking, they're comical, romantic, educational. What this is doing is teaching us that if there is a problem in this respect, the neighbor's beard burning, what you do is go and run, fetch water for your own. What you're doing is you're being preventative, trying to learn from other people's experiences and circumstances in order to prevent yourself from being in that similar situation. Because come on, you think of it. If your neighbor's beard is burning, then perhaps your beard's gonna be next. So what you try and do is run, get water, so that when the beard starts burning, or before it even starts burning, you have water on that beard, and that problem is not happening to you. You're not getting yours burnt as well. That is the meaning and the reason for this proverb. One does not sharpen the stick that would pierce his eye. Instead, he uproots it. What that proverb is teaching us is for us to have an attitude whereby we practice to get rid of potential dangers. I mean, you can see the stick, it's going to pierce your eye. For what reason would you even sharpen it for it to actually cause maximum damage? No. What you do in these circumstances is uproot that stick. If you see a potential problem that it's gonna happen, act before it becomes a problem. Uproot it. When you uproot it, then you get rid of that danger. Last but not least, it brings us to our last proverb from Ghana. It is the crooked wood that reveals who a true sculptor is. Think about the proverb. That one is actually thought-provoking. Anybody can sculpture something out of a perfect piece of wood. I mean, if life, for example, was perfect, plain sailing, you've got it all, you've got the money, mommy and daddy can drop you anywhere you want to go, things will be easy for you. You will make a very good sculpt out of that perfect life that you have. But there is children that don't have electricity, they have to study using candles, sometimes they have to go very far to go and fetch water. There is children whose parents have unfortunately died and they've been left orphans at a very young age. Those children have a crooked piece of wood in that their life is not that straightforward, it's not that comfortable. But they become true sculptors, and out of that they have a life whereby they're educated and they turn into something in society. So what this proverb is telling us is that it's not everybody that can work with disadvantages or starting from a disadvantageous starting point. As the saying goes, knowledge without wisdom is like water in the sand. So if you like this video, please subscribe to Henok TV or leave your comments below. Tell me, what proverb did you enjoy the most? Is there one that I didn't break down very well? Just leave your comments, please. And until next time, bye-bye.